The galaxy was full of strange wonders, but nothing was stranger than humans. To most alien races, humans were a puzzle. Brave, reckless, and always doing things no one expected. Some called them dangerous. Others called them unpredictable. But almost everyone agreed on one thing. Humans changed everything they touched. On a busy alien marketplace floating above a trade world, crowds of species from across the stars gathered. They sold food, gadgets, crystals, and weapons. The air was filled with voices, smells of roasted alien spices, and the glow of neon signs. It was the perfect place for deals, experiments, and sometimes accidents. At the edge of the market stood a young human engineer named Alex. He wasn't tall or strong, but he had a sharp grin and a device strapped across his chest that hummed with power. The aliens around him whispered nervously. Everyone, new humans and their machines, were full of surprises. Alex raised his hands, calling for attention. "Step right up," he said with a wide smile. "I can upgrade anything. Your tools, your toys, your treasures. Just give me something and I'll show you what human tech can do." The crowd gathered. Some were curious, others cautious. A tall insect-like trader shook his head and muttered, "Foolish human tricks." But still they watched. Humans always made things interesting. Among the crowd was Lyra, a young alien girl with shimmering blue skin and bright golden eyes. She carried a small box holding something she had worked on all morning. Cupcakes, sweet, soft, and colorful, made from her family's recipe. They weren't special, but she was proud of them. When Alex spotted her, he grinned even wider. "You there," he said, pointing at Lyra. "Yes, you with the box. Why don't we try your food? Let me upgrade it." Lyra blinked in surprise. "Upgrade cupcakes?" she asked, unsure if she heard him right. "Of course," Alex said confidently. "Humans can upgrade anything." The crowd chuckled. Some aliens whispered, others laughed. The idea of upgrading food sounded ridiculous. But Lyra was shy, and with the crowd staring, she slowly stepped forward. "These are just cupcakes," she said softly. "They're not weapons. They're not machines. Just sweet food." "Perfect," Alex said, rubbing his hands together. "That makes it even better." He placed one of the cupcakes on his device. The box glowed as lights flickered across. The machine. Sparks danced around the edges and a low hum filled the air. The crowd leaned in closer. Alex pressed a button, then another. Then, without thinking, he pressed a third. The cupcake began to shake. Its frosting glowed bright red, then purple, then a dangerous shade of blue. Lyra gasped. "What is happening?" Alex frowned, tapping the machine nervously. Hold on, that's not supposed to happen." The cupcake let out a sharp beep. The sound was not sweet. It was the kind of sound machines made before something exploded. The crowd gasped and stepped back. A lizard-like trader shouted, "It's going to blow!" But instead of exploding, the cupcake transformed. The soft frosting hardened into metallic, plating. The paper wrapper folded back like armor. A barrel-like shape rose from the top, glowing with plasma energy. Lyra's jaw dropped. That looks like a weapon." Alex's face went pale. "That looks like a bazooka." The cupcake buzzed and locked onto a nearby wall as if aiming. The crowd screamed and scattered, knocking over stalls and spilling goods. Lyra covered her face with her hands, too embarrassed and terrified to move. "What did you do?" she shouted at Alex, her cheeks burning red with panic. I just pressed the wrong button," Alex stammered. "Don't worry, I can fix it." But before he could try, the other cupcakes inside the box began to glow. One by one, they shifted, changing from sweet treats into tiny, humming weapons. Each one had a barrel. Each one made the same dangerous beep. Lyra looked at the cupcakes. In horror. "You turned my sweets into bazookas," she shouted. "How am I supposed to explain this to my family?" The cupcakes pulsed with energy, ready to fire. Alex raised his hands nervously. Okay, don't panic, just don't touch them. They only shoot if..." Zap! One cupcake fired a thin blast of plasma, leaving a smoking hole in the wall. The crowd screamed even louder. Security drones zipped into the air, alarms blaring. Lyra's eyes widened and she shouted at Alex again. "You said don't panic?" Alex grinned weakly. "Right. Maybe panic a little." The marketplace was now chaos. Aliens pushed and shoved to escape. Stalls collapsed. The cupcakes beeped louder, as if excited. Lyra was flustered beyond words. Her sweet gift had become a nightmare weapon, and it was all because of this reckless human. Alex, however, stood frozen for a moment. He muttered to himself, "Oops, and wrong button." And that was how it began. One simple mistake that would change everything. The marketplace was no longer peaceful. The once lively chatter of merchants and shoppers had turned into screams, shouts, and the sound of feet pounding against metal floors. The sweet smell of Lyra's cupcakes had been replaced by the sharp scent of plasma smoke, and at the center of all the chaos stood Alex, the human engineer, staring at the glowing box of cupcakes turned weapons. Lyra's hands shook as she held the box, her eyes wide. Why are they looking at me?" she cried, pointing at the cupcakes. Each one of them had swiveled, their tiny glowing barrels following her every move. "They've locked onto your biosignature," Alex muttered, scratching his head nervously. "My what?" Lyra shouted. Your life energy, your cupcakes recognize you as their owner now. That's good, right?" Alex said, forcing a smile. Lyra glared at him. "No, it is not good. They look like they want to shoot me." The crowd had cleared, but not everyone ran. A group of alien guards hovered in on sleek drones, weapons glowing. Their leader, a tall reptilian officer, pointed at Alex and barked, "Human, deactivate the weapons at once." Alex raised his hands. "I didn't mean for this to happen. It was a beep! Zap!" One cupcake fired, missing the officer by an inch and blasting a hole into a vendor's stall. The stall collapsed, in sparks and smoke. The officer hissed in rage. "Arrest them both!" he shouted. Lyra's face burned red. "I didn't do anything!" she screamed, clutching the box tighter. The cupcakes beeped louder, glowing as if excited by her emotions. The barrels aimed directly at the guards now. Alex winced. "Okay, so maybe they're a little unstable." Lyra stomped her foot. "A little? You turned my desserts into deadly cannons." The guards advanced. The cupcakes buzzed, preparing to fire again. Lyra gasped. "They're going to explode." No, Alex said quickly, pulling a small controller from his belt. "They're just charging up like a warning growl." He pressed a button on his controller. The cupcakes beeped twice, then rotated in unison, aiming directly at the guards. "The guards froze," one whispered. Are those desserts armed?" Another answered, "Humans are insane." The leader growled, "Stand down or we will use force." Before Alex could respond, Lyra let out a startled cry. One cupcake jumped out of the box, landing on the ground. It rolled like a toy, then stopped, its barrel rising. "Don't move," Alex warned. "It's scanning targets." Lyra covered her mouth, horrified. That was supposed to be strawberry flavor. The cupcake beeped once, then fired. A burst of plasma shot upward, narrowly missing a drone. The drone spun wildly and crashed into a vendor's fruit stand. Alien fruit burst everywhere in a sticky mess. The crowd, now at a safe distance, roared with laughter and panic. Someone shouted, "The human weaponized desserts." Another yelled, "Only humans would turn food into war machines." Lyra wanted to disappear. She had dreamed of sharing her cupcakes with friends, not watching them destroy the marketplace. Her face was as red as the frosting had once been. Meanwhile, Alex looked strangely proud. "Okay, I admit, that was kind of awesome." "Awesome?" Lyra shouted. "They're ruining everything." "Hey, in my defense," Alex replied, grinning nervously. "You said they were just ordinary cupcakes. I made them extraordinary." Another cupcake buzzed, hopping out of the box. Then another. Soon, half the cupcakes were on the ground, rolling. Like little tanks, their barrels glowing. The guards panicked and fell back. The officer barked, "Call reinforcements. The human has unleashed weapons of mass destruction." Lyra's knees wobbled. "Weapons of what?" "They're supposed to be sweets for children." Alex shrugged. Well, technically they still are sweets. Just heavily armed sweets. Lyra groaned and covered her face. She was flustered, embarrassed, and furious all at once. The cupcakes she had lovingly baked that morning were now crawling around like deadly machines, and the human responsible didn't seem half as worried as he should be. Another zap rang out as a cupcake blasted a hole through a security drone. Sparks showered the ground. The drone spiraled, smoking. The crowd gasped again. Some aliens cheered as if it were a show. Others shook their heads, muttering, "Humans, dangerous but entertaining." Lyra grabbed Alex by the collar and pulled him close. "You will fix this right now," she hissed. "I'm working on it," Alex said, waving his controller. "But the thing is, I might need to get closer to the control hub." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "And where is this control hub?" Alex gulped. At the center of the market." Her jaw dropped. "The center? That's crawling with guards." "Yeah," Alex said with a weak grin. "Fun, huh?" Lyra groaned again. The cupcakes beeped in response as if mocking her frustration. The officer raised his weapon, pointing it at Alex. "Human, you will surrender or be destroyed." Alex raised his hands quickly. Okay. Just give me 1 minute." But the cupcakes, sensing the threat, turned their barrels on the guards once again. The officer froze, realizing he was staring down a dozen tiny cannons made of sugar and frosting. Lyra shook her head, completely flustered. "I can't believe this is happening. My cupcakes have become bazookas." Alex gave her a sheepish smile. "Well, at least they're memorable." And with that, the cupcakes fired again. The bazooka cupcakes hummed with energy, glowing brighter with each passing second. The guards stood frozen, afraid to make the wrong move. The marketplace that once echoed with chatter and laughter now buzzed with tension and the smell of burning plasma. Lyra's heart raced. Her hands trembled as she clutched the empty box that had once carried her sweet creations. She could still feel the warmth of the frosting in her memory, but now all she saw were metal barrels, glowing cores, and weapons of chaos rolling across the ground. Her cheeks flushed red with embarrassment. This is a nightmare," she whispered almost to herself. Alex leaned close, trying to sound casual even as sweat dripped down his forehead. "Nightmare? Come on, this is..." "Okay, yeah, maybe a nightmare, but a really cool one." Lyra turned, on him so fast he nearly tripped backward. Her golden eyes blazed. "Cool?" she shouted, her voice trembling between anger and panic. "My cupcakes were supposed to make people smile, not..." Zap! Another cupcake fired, blasting a guard's shoulder armor and sending him tumbling to the ground. "Not that," she finished, pointing wildly. The crowd that had stayed at a distance erupted in mixed reactions. Some laughed, some cheered, some screamed and ran further away. An alien vendor shook his head and muttered, "Only humans could weaponize desserts." Lyra's face grew hotter. She felt like every eye in the marketplace was on her. The girl with the cupcakes. The girl whose treats had turned into tools of destruction. She wanted to crawl under a rock and vanish, but the bazookas didn't care about her feelings. They rolled closer, circling her like loyal pets, except these pets could vaporize steel walls. One pointed straight at her. She froze. Why is it looking at me?" she asked, her voice cracking. Alex rubbed the back of his neck. "Because, they're synced to you. You're technically their owner." "Owner?" she squeaked. "I didn't ask for this." Alex shrugged helplessly. "Well, you baked them, so technically, yeah, they recognize you." Her hands shook as she pointed at the glowing cannons. "I baked cupcakes, not cannons. You did this." Alex tried to smile, but it came out crooked. "True, but look at it this way. You're probably the only person in the galaxy who can say her pastries are armed and dangerous." "That's pretty unique," Lyra groaned, covering her face with both hands. "Unique? I'll be banned from the market forever." Beep, beep. The cupcakes chirped in unison, as though agreeing with her distress. Their barrels glowed brighter. Alex quickly waved his hands. Whoa, whoa, don't get upset. They respond to your emotions. Lyra peeked out from behind her hands. What? Yes, Alex said, nodding eagerly. They're reading your energy levels. The angrier or more flustered you get, the stronger they charge. Her mouth fell open. So you're telling me if I get embarrassed, they become more dangerous? Exactly, Alex said, then immediately realized how bad that sounded. But don't worry, you look, calm enough? Her cheeks burned hotter than ever. I am not calm, she snapped. The cupcakes gave a unified beep, and all, their barrels spun toward the guards again. The reptilian officer cursed and dove for cover. Lyra gasped and clutched her head. They're going to kill someone. Alex grabbed her shoulders, trying to steady her. No, listen to me, just breathe. Relax, pretend you're not embarrassed. She glared at him. Pretend? I'm standing in front of an entire market while my baking tries to destroy the galaxy. How do I pretend? Alex opened his mouth to answer, but was cut off by another zap. This time a cupcake blasted through a neon sign overhead, showering sparks across the fleeing crowd. The marketplace smelled like burnt sugar and ozone. Lyra screamed and buried her face in her hands again. I can't do this. Everyone is watching me. Alex sighed. Okay, new plan. Don't worry about the crowd. Just focus on me. She peeked at him through her fingers. On you? Why? Because, Alex said, flashing a grin. I'm the only one crazy enough to fix this mess. Before Lyra could respond, another guard charged forward, trying to snatch a cupcake with a net. Big mistake. The cupcake beeped and fired a direct blast, sending the guard flying into a fruit cart. The audience howled with laughter again. Lyra felt her stomach twist. This is humiliating. I'll never live this down. Alex leaned in and whispered, Hey, on the bright side, you'll be famous. Famous? She shrieked. As the cupcake disaster girl? Well, Alex said with a half smile. Better than being boring. Lyra let out a strangled sound somewhere between a groan and a scream. She wanted to hit him, but the cupcakes would probably misread her frustration and blast another hole in the station. The bazooka cupcakes rolled, tighter around her like an armed honor guard. The glow from their barrels reflected on her flustered face. She clenched her fists, her whole body tense. Alex tapped at his controller, muttering, Okay, I just need to reroute the charge and… Oops, not that button. The cupcakes beeped, dangerously making Lyra flinch. She hissed at him, Stop pressing things. I'm fixing it, he insisted. You're making it worse. The guards regrouped, weapons aimed but hesitating. The officer barked, Stand down, or we will open fire. Lyra shouted back, her voice cracking with frustration. Don't shoot. They'll only shoot back. The officer sneered. Then surrender. Lyra's eyes darted between the glowing guards' weapons, the buzzing cupcakes, and Alex fumbling with his device. Her chest tightened. This wasn't just embarrassing anymore. This was dangerous. And yet, in the middle of it all, she couldn't shake one thought. How in the galaxy did a simple tray of cupcakes turn into this nightmare? Alex gave her a sheepish smile, muttering again under his breath. Oops. Wrong button. Lyra groaned so loudly the entire market heard it. The alien marketplace was no longer a place of trade. It was a battlefield of chaos. Sparks rained from broken neon signs, smoke hissed from shattered drones, and the smell of ozone hung thick in the air. What had started as a simple cupcake demonstration was now spiraling into something much bigger and much more dangerous. At the center of it all stood Lyra, still clutching the empty box, her cheeks flushed red with shame. Around her rolled the deadly cupcake bazookas, glowing brighter with each passing moment, their barrels twitching as if impatient to fire again. The reptilian officer of the guards barked orders. Surround them. Capture the human. Neutralize. The weapons. His voice echoed, filled with authority. The guards spread out, weapons raised, but none dared step too close. They had already seen what happened when someone tried to grab one of the cupcakes. Lyra's heart pounded in her chest. She wanted to run, to hide, to vanish into the crowd. But there was no escaping the ring of glowing barrels that circled her. Her face was hot, her body tense. She was terrified, but more than anything, she was mortified. Everyone was staring, everyone was whispering, and now everyone would remember her as the cupcake girl with weapons. She clenched her fists and turned on Alex. "Fix this right now," she demanded. Alex, hunched over his controller, winced. "I'm trying, but they're adapting." "Adapting?" Lyra repeated, horrified. "Yeah," Alex said with a sheepish grin. "They're learning, evolving. It's kind of amazing, really." Lyra cut him off with a furious glare. "It's not amazing. Beep." The cupcakes beeped in unison, reacting to her outburst. Their barrels spun, targeting the guards again. One of the guards shouted, "Open fire!" Before the officer could stop him, a plasma shot rang out. The blast hit the ground near Lyra, sending up a shower of sparks. She screamed and stumbled back. The cupcakes responded instantly. Zap, zap, zap. 3 of them fired at once, striking the guard's weapon and blowing it to pieces. The guard was knocked backward, crashing into a pile of fruit crates. The crowd roared, some in fear, others in laughter. Someone shouted, "The cupcakes fight back." Another yelled, "Don't mess with human desserts." Lyra's cheeks burned hotter than ever. She was the center of a show she never asked for. She wanted to disappear. Instead, she was trapped in the spotlight, flustered and helpless. Alex tugged at her arm. "We need to move now." "Move where?" she snapped. "They'll just follow us." "Exactly," Alex said, grinning nervously. "Better to have them moving with us than firing at random." Before Lyra could argue, Alex pulled her into a run. The cupcakes rolled after them, beeping as they went. The crowd scattered again, screaming and laughing as the deadly pastries trailed behind the pair like loyal guard dogs. The officer roared, "Don't let them escape." More drones swooped down from above, scanning the area. Their glowing red, eyes locked on Lyra and Alex. Alex cursed under his breath. "Okay, this is getting out of hand." Lyra gasped, nearly tripping over a loose piece of metal. "Out of hand? It's been out of hand since you pressed the wrong button." The cupcakes beeped happily as though enjoying the chaos. One of them fired at a drone overhead. Zap! The drone exploded in a burst of sparks, raining debris onto the market stalls below. The explosions only added to the madness. Aliens ran in every direction, shouting in dozens of languages. Some merchants frantically grabbed their goods and fled. Others stayed behind to watch the spectacle, muttering about classic human disasters. Lyra felt like her head might explode. Her emotions were all tangled together, fear, anger, embarrassment, and exhaustion. And the worst part? Every time she lost control, the cupcakes grew stronger. She turned to Alex, her voice breaking. "Why are they linked to me? Why not you?" Alex scratched his head. "Well, technically, they were your cupcakes. My device just amplified them. So they see you as... Mother?" "Mother?" Lyra shrieked, her face flaming red. The cupcakes beeped cheerfully, circling her feet like excited pets. The crowd burst into laughter. Lyra wanted to vanish. She covered her face with her hands and groaned. "This is the most embarrassing day of my life." Alex grabbed her wrist and tugged. "Embarrassing or not, we need to reach the control hub before the guards call reinforcements. If we don't, these cupcakes will start treating everything as a target." Lyra's eyes widened. "Everything?" "Yeah," Alex said, nodding. Grimly. "Walls, ships, maybe even planets." She gasped. "Planets?" Alex quickly added, "Okay, maybe not planets. Probably. But still, we need to fix this fast." The officer raised his voice again, booming over the chaos. "This is your last warning. Surrender or we will destroy you." Lyra shouted back without thinking. "Don't you dare. If you shoot me, the cupcakes will... beep, beep, beep." The cupcakes immediately powered up, their barrels glowing brighter than ever. Every single one aimed directly at the guards. The officer froze, his mouth snapping shut. Alex let out a low whistle. "Well, you're officially scarier than the guards now." Lyra groaned, covering her face again. She had never been so flustered, so embarrassed, or so completely overwhelmed. And yet deep down she realized something terrifying. The longer this went on, the more the cupcakes seemed to grow. Their glow was stronger, their movements were sharper, and their loyalty to her was undeniable. She didn't just have cupcakes anymore. She had a tiny army, and she had no idea how to control them. The marketplace was no longer just chaotic. It was pure madness. Stalls lay broken, smoke hissed. From wrecked drones and alien merchants shouted as they scrambled to protect their goods. In the middle of the mess, Lyra and Alex darted down a narrow alleyway, the deadly cupcake bazookas rolling after them like loyal, glowing pets. "Run faster," Alex shouted, dodging a fallen crate. Lyra panted, her face flushed both from the sprint and the unbearable humiliation. "I'm trying, but they're following me." The cupcakes beeped cheerfully, their little wheels whirring as they kept pace. Every time Lyra stumbled or gasped, the weapons buzzed as if reacting to her emotions. From behind, the shouts of the guards echoed. "Don't let them escape! Surround them!" Drones swooped overhead, their red eyes scanning the narrow street. Lyra groaned between breaths. This is insane. I just wanted to sell my cupcakes." Alex grinned despite the chaos. "Well, now you've got the most famous cupcakes in the galaxy." She shot him a glare. "This isn't funny." Okay, not funny," Alex admitted, though his grin refused to fade. The pair burst out of the alley onto a wider street, only to find themselves face to face with another squad of guards. Plasma rifles hummed as they aimed directly at them. "Stop right there," the reptilian officer barked. Lyra froze, clutching her empty box as if it could shield her. The cupcakes rolled in front of her, forming a perfect line of defense. There, barrels rose in unison, glowing brighter with each second. The officer's eyes narrowed. "Stand down or we open fire." Alex sighed. Bad choice of words. Zap, 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 3 cupcakes fired at once. Plasma bolts streaked across the street, blasting the guards' rifles clean out of their hands. The weapons clattered to the ground, sparking. The guards stumbled back, stunned by the accuracy of the desserts. The crowd of onlookers gasped. Then, someone shouted, "The cupcakes are protecting her." Lyra's face turned scarlet. "Protecting me? I didn't ask for this." Alex smirked. "Well, like it or not, they're yours now." Before the guards could regroup, Alex tugged Lyra's arm and pulled her into another sprint. The cupcakes whirred after them, firing random blasts at any drone that came too close. Explosions shook the air, scattering fruit stands, banners, and frightened shoppers. The chase had begun. They ran through twisting alleys, dodging market stalls and overturned carts. The cupcakes followed closely, beeping like excited puppies. Every time Lyra tripped, one of the cupcakes would roll closer, aiming its barrel at anyone who came near her. "I can't take this anymore," she cried. "They act like they love me." Alex laughed breathlessly. "They do. You're their cupcake queen." Lyra groaned, her whole face red. "Stop calling me that." The drones above fired warning shots. Bolts of plasma exploded near their feet, making the ground sizzle. Lyra yelped and nearly dropped her box. The cupcakes didn't like that. Zap. One fired upward, striking a drone straight through its eye. The machine sparked, spun wildly, and crashed into the side of a building with a loud explosion. The crowd cheered. Some even started chanting, "Cupcake Queen, Cupcake Queen." Lyra wanted to die on the spot. The pair rounded another corner only to find the street blocked by a line of armored vehicles. Guards spilled out, aiming heavy cannons at them. Alex skidded to a halt. Uh-oh. That's a lot of firepower. Lyra's knees wobbled. "We're doomed." The cupcakes rolled into position again, forming a defensive circle around Lyra. Their barrels hummed, glowing so bright they lit up the street. The officer stepped forward, his voice booming. "Surrender the weapons or we will reduce you to ash." Lyra trembled, clutching the empty box to her chest. "I don't want weapons, I just wanted cupcakes." The cupcakes beeped angrily, their glow intensifying. Alex glanced between them and the guards, then whispered to Lyra, "They respond to you. If you stay panicked, they'll keep escalating." Her voice cracked. "How can I not panic right now?" "Try, I don't know, pretend you're calm," Lyra shrieked. "Pretend?" The cupcakes fired in response, unleashing a storm of plasma bolts. Guards dove for cover as explosions rocked the street. Vehicles smoked and alarms blared. The officer roared, "Fall back, regroup!" Alex grabbed Lyra's wrist again. "Now's our chance, move!" They darted past the smoking wreckage, the cupcakes rolling behind them like an unstoppable army. The market was in ruins, the guards humiliated, and the legend of the Cupcake Queen had only just begun. As they ducked into another alley, Lyra leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. Her whole body shook. Her face was bright red, her golden eyes wide with panic. "This is impossible. We can't escape them. We can't escape the guards. We can't escape anything." Alex crouched beside her, his grin finally fading into seriousness. "We can, but we need to reach the control hub. That's the only way I can shut them down." Lyra swallowed hard. "And where's the control hub?" Alex pointed upward. At the top of the market dome, a glowing tower pulsed with energy. Guards swarmed its base, and drones circled its peak. Lyra's stomach dropped. "We'll never make it there." Alex gave her a lopsided grin. "Not unless we use your little army." She stared at him in disbelief. "My... what?" "Your cupcakes," Alex said, standing tall. "They're not just weapons, they're protection. And, right now, they're the only reason we're still alive." Lyra groaned, hiding her face in her hands. "I don't want to be the Cupcake Queen." The cupcakes beeped happily, glowing brighter as if they disagreed. Alex smirked. "Too late. You already are." The chaos of the market had spilled into the streets. Smoke curled from blasted walls, sparks rained from broken drones, and terrified, merchants yelled as they rushed to safety. Above it all, the glowing control hub tower pulsed like a heartbeat, its bright light flickering across the ruined stalls. Alex wiped sweat from his forehead and pointed upward. "There, that tower. That's where I can shut this down." Lyra followed his gaze, her chest still heaving. The tower loomed high above, guarded by squads of soldiers and buzzing with drone patrols. "Shut this down? You mean, fix my cupcakes?" Alex nodded, grinning nervously. "Exactly. If I reach the hub, I can rewire the signal and deactivate. The upgrades, they'll go back to being harmless little treats." Lyra stared at the deadly bazookas rolling around her feet, their barrels humming with power. "Harmless? After this?" She gestured to the wrecked marketplace around them. The cupcakes beeped cheerfully as though proud of the destruction. Alex leaned closer, lowering his voice. "But I can't do it alone. The place is crawling with guards. I'll need you to distract them." Lyra's golden eyes widened. "Distract them?" she squeaked. "I'm already the most embarrassing thing in the galaxy. What more do you want me to do?" Alex's grin widened. "Exactly that. You're the Cupcake Queen now." Lyra groaned, covering her face. "Stop calling me that." The cupcakes beeped in unison, almost like applause. The guards were regrouping in the distance, shouting orders and readying more heavy weapons. Drones circled overhead, scanning every street. The officer barked loudly, "Find the human and the girl. Don't let them reach the control hub." Lyra's stomach twisted. "They're going to kill us before we even get close." Alex shook his head. "Not if we use your army." Lyra's cheeks burned. "Army?" "Yes," Alex said seriously. "The cupcakes listen to you. They respond to your emotions, your voice, your presence. That means you're their leader." Lyra almost collapsed from sheer mortification. "Leader of, desserts?" Alex grinned. "Leader of weapons disguised as desserts. That's even cooler." Lyra groaned louder. She wanted to run away, hide, and never be seen again. But as the sound of marching guards grew closer, she realized there was no choice. The cupcakes beeped, circling her feet protectively. Their glow reflected in her eyes, making her look every bit the reluctant queen Alex claimed she was. They moved carefully through the alleys, heading toward the tower. Every corner was a risk, every street a trap. Lyra tried to calm her racing heart. But every time she grew flustered, the cupcakes buzzed louder and aimed their barrels at shadows. At one intersection, a squad of guards blocked the way. Plasma rifles raised. They shouted, "Halt!" Lyra froze. Her hands shook. Her cheeks burned red as she realized she was once again in the center of attention. The cupcakes responded instantly. "Beep, beep, their barrels locked onto the guards. Don't shoot!" Lyra cried desperately. "Please don't shoot!" The cupcakes fired anyway. Zap, zap. 2 plasma bolts knocked the rifles clean out of the guards' hands. Sparks flew. The guards stumbled back, too shocked to fight. The crowd that had followed at a distance erupted in laughter again. Someone shouted, "The Cupcake Queen strikes again." Lyra covered her face. "I hate this." Alex tugged her forward. "No time to sulk, Your Majesty. We need to keep moving." As they approached the base of the tower, the resistance grew stronger. Heavier drones swooped down, firing at the ground to block their path. The cupcakes answered with precise blasts, destroying the machines one by one. Every time Lyra yelped in fear, the cupcakes grew bolder. Every time she flushed with embarrassment, they fired faster. By the time they reached the tower's base, the air was filled with smoke, sparks, and the cheers of onlookers watching from the rooftops. Alex crouched behind a shattered stall, tapping his controller. "Okay, here's the plan. You and your little squad keep the guards busy. I'll slip inside and reach the core." Lyra's jaw dropped. "You want me to fight them?" Alex raised an eyebrow. "Do you have a better idea?" "Yes. Running." "Away," she snapped. Alex shook his head. "If we don't stop this, the cupcakes will eventually lose control. They'll stop listening to you and start firing at everything." Lyra froze, her heart sinking. "Everything?" "Everything," Alex confirmed. The thought of her cupcakes destroying homes, ships, or even entire cities made her stomach twist. She couldn't let that happen. For the first time, she looked at the glowing weapons circling her feet not as a burden, but as a responsibility. Her cheeks still burned, her heart still raced, and she was still embarrassed beyond words. But she couldn't walk away. She straightened her back, her golden eyes blazing. "Fine," she said softly. "I'll do it." The cupcakes beeped, their glow intensifying, as if celebrating her decision. Alex smiled, relief washing over his face. "That's the spirit. Now, Cupcake Queen, lead your army." Lyra groaned, burying her face in her hands again. "Don't call me that." But even as she protested, she stepped forward, the cupcakes rolling with her. And for the first time, she didn't stop them. The base of the tower glowed with energy, its walls covered in humming wires and glowing panels. Guards swarmed around the entrance, forming a line of defense, while drones circled overhead like angry hornets. The crowd that had followed the chaos watched from rooftops and alleys, whispering and pointing. At the center of it all stood Lyra, flustered, red-faced, and clutching her empty cupcake box like a shield. Around her, the cupcake bazookas rolled into formation, their barrels glowing brighter than ever. Alex crouched beside her, his voice low but urgent. "This is it. If I get inside and reach the control hub, I can deactivate them, but I'll need time." Lyra swallowed hard, her heart pounding. "And what do I do?" Alex grinned. "You hold them off, distract the guards, be the Cupcake Queen." Her cheeks burned at the name, but she had no choice. The guards were already moving in, weapons raised. The officer shouted, "This is your last chance, surrender." Lyra froze, trembling. She wanted to run. She wanted to disappear. But when she looked down, the cupcakes were staring back at her, metallic barrels glowing like little soldiers waiting for orders. She took a deep breath, her voice shaky. Attack? Beep, beep." The cupcakes surged forward as if they had been waiting all along. Plasma bolts streaked across the street, forcing the guards to dive for cover. Explosions rattled the walls of the tower, smoke and sparks filling the air. The crowd erupted in cheers. "The Cupcake Queen," they chanted. "Long live the Cupcake Queen." Lyra's face went crimson. "Stop calling me that," she shouted, but her voice was lost in the noise of battle. Alex slipped into the chaos, darting toward the tower's entrance while the guards were distracted. Lyra stayed behind, her army of cupcakes blasting drones out of the sky and knocking weapons from soldiers' hands. She groaned, covering her face for a moment. I can't believe this. I'm not a warrior, I'm a baker. But the cupcakes didn't care. They beeped and fired, defending her with unshakable loyalty. Inside the tower, Alex raced up metal stairs, his controller flashing in his hands. Sparks flew as he connected wires and tapped codes into glowing panels. Come on, he muttered. One wrong button and we're toast. Again. Outside, Lyra stumbled as a drone fired too close, the ground sizzling at her feet. She squeaked and flailed, her cheeks burning hotter. The cupcakes responded instantly, unleashing a storm of blasts that shredded the drone to pieces. The crowd roared with laughter and applause. Some even tossed flowers down from balconies. Lyra wanted to melt into the floor. At last, Alex's voice crackled through a speaker above the door. Almost there. Just keep them busy a little longer. Lyra glared at the tower. I'm trying, she shouted back, but the guards were regrouping, bringing in heavier weapons. A massive cannon rolled into the street, humming with deadly power. Lyra's eyes widened. Oh no, the officer smirked. You can't win, girl. Your toys are no match for real weapons. The cupcakes beeped angrily, as if insulted. Their barrels glowed brighter than ever, pulsing with energy. Lyra, flustered and desperate, shouted, Don't listen to him. You're the best cupcakes ever. Beep, beep, beep. The cupcakes charged as one, unleashing a combined blast so powerful it shattered the cannon in a single strike. The explosion lit up the street, sending guards sprawling. The crowd went wild. Cupcake Queen, Cupcake Queen! Lyra groaned into her hands. Why me? Inside, Alex let out a triumphant laugh. Got it! He slammed his palm onto the console. The control hub pulsed with light, then slowly dimmed. The humming stopped. Outside, the cupcakes froze mid-roll, their barrels lowered. The glow faded. Lyra blinked, her heart racing. Did it work? One by one, the cupcakes shimmered, their metallic plating peeling back, their barrels folding away. In seconds, they were back to normal, soft, sweet, colorful cupcakes. With frosting and sprinkles, they dropped harmlessly to the ground with little plop sounds. The guard stared in shock. The crowd gasped, and Lyra stood there holding her box, surrounded by pastries that looked as innocent as the morning she baked them. Her face burned red. She wanted to say something, anything, but words failed her. Alex burst out of the tower, waving his controller proudly. Fixed it, see? No problem at all. Lyra spun on him, her voice cracking. No problem? Do you see what just happened? Alex shrugged. Okay, maybe a tiny problem, but hey, it worked out. The officer snarled, stepping forward. You two caused chaos, destruction, and terror in the market. Before he could continue, one of the cupcakes popped open, not with plasma, but with a tiny hologram of Alex's face. The hologram grinned and said, Oops! The crowd erupted in laughter. Even some of the guards chuckled. Lyra groaned and buried her face in her hands. Alex smirked and bowed. Ladies and gentlemen, humans at their finest. The chants grew, louder. Cupcake Queen! Cupcake Queen! Lyra wanted to scream, but deep down she knew she would never escape this new title. Her cupcakes had become legend.